Every great structure, whether it's a family home or a massive skyscraper, it doesn't start with a shovel in the ground. It starts with a plan, a blueprint. But how does that blueprint actually come to life? Today, we're diving deep into the pre-construction phase, that absolutely critical window of time where an idea gets tested, it gets refined, and it's transformed into a real, actionable plan. So let's get into it. Welcome to Bodhi Unified Flow. I'm Dr. Mara Muthu. Our goal here is always to simplify complexity. And today, we're really going to tackle one of the most complex, but also one of the most important stages in any major project, the pre-construction phase. So here's our roadmap for today. We're going to walk through 5 key sections. We'll kick things off with the strategic foundation, then we'll watch the design evolution unfold. After that, we'll get into how we de-risk and optimize that design. Then we'll talk about the crucial governance of stage gates, and finally, we'll land on the final blueprint. And by the time we're done, you'll be able to really define what pre-construction is all about. You'll know exactly who needs to be in the room, and you'll understand that whole journey from a simple sketch to the final documents. Plus, you'll be able to explain how we make a plan truly solid and describe those formal checkpoints that keep a project viable. Okay, let's jump right in. Section 1, the strategic foundation. And listen, this is so much more than just some prep work. This is where we take raw ambition and forge it into a project that can actually be built. And this quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? Pre-construction is that definitive bridge between a big idea and a buildable reality. If you get this part wrong, believe me, the entire project is standing on a shaky foundation. It doesn't matter how well you build it later on.
All right, so what is pre-construction really? Well, it's that all-important planning phase before any physical work starts. Think of it as creating the master roadmap. It covers the whole shebang: strategic planning, design, engineering, risk analysis, cost estimation, everything you need to create a detailed plan for execution.
Now, here's what's so important to remember. This is not a solo act, not at all. Pre-construction is like a collaborative dance. You've got the project owners, architects, engineers, general contractors, estimators, all these different experts. Each one brings their unique perspective to the table, making sure the final plan is not just visionary, but also realistic and achievable. So once we have that team in place, we move right into Section 2, the design evolution. This is where we get to see how a simple idea on a napkin gets meticulously transformed into a set of detailed blueprints. The design grows through 3 clear stages. First up is schematic design, or SD. You can think of this as the big picture view. We're talking early sketches, basic models, just trying to nail down the overall look and feel. Then we move into design development, or DD. This is where we add the muscle and bones, right? We start detailing the architectural, the structural, and the MEP. That's mechanical, electrical, and plumbing systems. And finally, we arrive at the construction documents, the CDs. These are the super detailed final instructions. This is the official rule book for actually building the thing. Now for Section 3, de-risking and optimization. Look, having a beautiful design is great, but is it tough? Is it efficient? Can we actually build it on time and on budget? This part is all about stress testing the plan against the real world. And that brings us to a really important question. On any complex project, you're going to have tons of worries. But how do you take that vague feeling of, this could go wrong, and turn it into a specific problem that you can actually get your hands on and solve? Well, the answer is to get structured. And the industry standard tool for that is this right here, the 5x5 risk matrix. This is how we move past just gut feelings. It forces us to systematically score every potential risk based on 2 really simple things. How likely is it to happen? And if it does happen, how bad are the consequences going to be? Let's make this super practical. Imagine you're on a site and you see a subcontractor using a ladder with a bent leg. Okay, step 1, identify the hazard. That's easy. Step 2, what's the likelihood? Well, the guy's using it all day long, so the chance of it failing is pretty high. We'll call that likely a score of 4. Step 3, what's the consequence? A fall from that height? That's a major injury for sure. Another 4. You just multiply those 2. 4 times 4 is 16. That score puts you squarely in the red zone, telling you this is a high-risk problem that you need to deal with right now. See? We just turned a worry into a data-driven decision. Now, alongside managing risk, we have value engineering. People often mistake this for just simple cost cutting, but it is so much smarter than that. VE is all about improving value by looking at function. So, value is the ratio of function to cost. For instance, instead of just finding a cheaper type of window, value engineering asks, hey, what if we used a slightly more expensive window that was way more energy efficient? Could that save the building a ton of money on heating bills in the long run? That's improving value, not just slashing the upfront cost. All right, section 4, the governance, or stage gates. So, with all this complexity, how do we make sure our project actually stays on track? How do we know it's still a good idea as we move along? That's where a formal governance structure comes in.
The whole philosophy behind stage gates is often called ladders and chutes. It's a great metaphor. At each gate, there's a formal review with one of three outcomes. A proceed is a ladder. Great. You get to climb to the next stage. A conditional proceed is like a ladder with a few hurdles on it. You can move forward, but you have to fix some things first. And then you have cancel or hold, and that's the chute. The project gets stopped or put on ice because it's just not viable anymore. These are not just status updates. They are critical go or no-go decision points.
So let's look at a real example. At stage gate 2, the team is asking for the green light and the funding to go ahead with the detailed design. And look who has to sign off on this. You've got the head of department, key stakeholders, safety and fire officers. The list goes on. Passing this gate is a huge deal. It means the project's scope is now officially locked down. If you want to change anything after this point, it's going to take a formal and very rigorous change control process. So after navigating all of those critical checkpoints, we finally arrive at our last section, the final blueprint. This is it. This is the culmination of all that strategic planning, design work, and de-risking. It's the ultimate prize of the pre-construction phase. The absolute key milestone here is what we call the design freeze. This is really the final stage gate. It's the moment when all the drawings are officially stamped GFC, good for construction. This is the point of no return. The plan is locked, the team is completely aligned, and the project is finally ready to leave the drawing board and head out to the construction site. So, let's wrap up with the key takeaways. First, pre-construction isn't just prep work. It's the strategic phase that turns an idea into something truly buildable. Second, it's a journey, a collaborative one, through foundation, design, de-risking, and governance. Remember, the design evolves from SD to DD to CD, adding more and more detail. And risk management and value engineering are what make that plan strong and smart. And finally, stage gates are those essential checkpoints that protect the project before you invest serious money. So if we look back at our goals, I think we've nailed them. We've clearly defined what pre-construction is all about. We've followed a design from a simple concept all the way to a finished blueprint. And we now understand the vital role that governance plays in keeping a complex project on solid ground. I'll leave you with one final thought to ponder. Let's say your blueprint is complete. It's stamped, it's ready. But ask yourself this: is your foundation for execution, the collaboration, the risk analysis, the process that got you there, is that truly solid? Because everything that happens next depends entirely on it. Thank you so much for joining me today. The information we've discussed was drawn from a number of really authoritative sources, which you can see on your screen now if you'd like to do some further reading. I'm Dr. Marimuthu, and this has been Bodhi Unified Flow.